What a disaster. Redfall is easily this year's biggest disappointment so far, especially since it's coming from Arcane, which is known for making Dishonored. I know Deathloop was the last game that came out by them, and a lot of people did like that game. I was pretty lukewarm on it. I felt like the longer I played that, the more the cracks started to show up. Perhaps I should have known something was up when I got stuck on a piece of geometry in the game within the first 5 minutes of booting it up and had to restart. In this day and age, when there's so many options for people to choose from, whether that be a movie, a TV show, or a video game, that piece of entertainment needs to respect your time and give you a reason to justify spending time with it in the first place. Redfall fails on all levels at achieving this. I can't remember the last time I have truly felt absolutely no emotions at all while playing a video game, quite like I did last night when I first started playing Redfall. The messed up thing is that the guns suck. Shooting the guns just completely and utterly sucks. They're not fun to use at all. And I actually started playing Dead Island 2 when I got home today. And I used one of the guns in that game. And shooting those guns felt easier and more tighter than the guns in Redfall. The story is completely paper thin. Basically, there's some girl. She has this special blood that can apparently heal people, but instead it corrupts the doctors and turns everyone into vampires. And you play one of 4 heroes that tries to escape the town. I don't care about the characters. I don't care about the story. Nothing about what I was learning about the environment and the setting grabbed me in any way during my first few hours playing the game. Now, I would have no problem with the story and the characters being paper thin if the gameplay loop was fun, like it is in Dead Island 2. But the gameplay loop here isn't. The world itself is very, very barren, which makes traversing it suck. You get little pockets of enemies here or there. Sometimes they're occultists, sometimes they're this security team, and other times it's vampires. None of these 3 enemy types feel like they're any different than the other. Their attacks are different, but taking them down, easy, super, super easy. The human enemies, I was headshotting them with 2 bullets with my pistol. The vampires, I was hoping were going to put up a lot more of a fight, but they don't feel threatening at all. They just sort of come at you, you can kind of run away, you pump them full of rounds, and eventually their health goes down, they get dazed, you run up to them, you melee them, and then you stab them in the heart with the stake that's attached to your weapon, and they die. There are different vampire classes, but doesn't matter. Pump them full of rounds, they die. I played as a character Devinder, and he has his special arc beam that he can kind of, just like an arc javelin, he throws it. You can easily just take this arc javelin, chuck it at one of the vampires, they're going to die, because it's going to just electrocute them, and that's that. What's even more offensive to me is the performance of the game. It runs at a locked 30 frames per second at 4K. Visually, I don't understand why the game needed to be 4K. It's not very impressive looking. If it was up to me, I think they should have gone with a lower resolution if it meant getting that 60 frames per second, which you need in a first-person shooter. And that 30 frames per second isn't even stable on its own. I saw multiple instances when I was playing where my frames dropped below 30 frames, so it can't even keep that 30 frames consistent, which is embarrassing. When I first shut off the game last night, I thought, you know what? Maybe I'll jump back into it. Maybe I'll give it another chance. But then when I was lying in bed, I just said, no, what am I doing? I don't have the time. Jedi Survivor just came out. I've been playing that. It is way more enjoyable. And that is just going back to the point I made earlier about games need to respect your time. There's no reason for you to go out and play Redfall. It just feels so generic. I don't know how else to explain it. It is a generic shooter. I don't know how else to explain it. It is a generic shooter that doesn't even control well or even runs that well. The fact that this is a Game Pass game as well makes it worse in my opinion. For better or worse, Game Pass is a huge selling point for the Xbox Series X, and this game was being marketed heavily alongside Starfield as being that must-have Xbox game. This is why you want to get your Xbox. This is why you want to get your Game Pass. And it does not even come close to a quality game that should have that honor. And I don't know about you guys, but I actually feel more worried about Starfield now that this game has come out, because this game's at 30 frames per second. When it came out and it was announced that it was 30 frames per second, a lot of people got worried. And everything we've seen from Starfield so far has been at 30 frames per second. And a lot of people are saying, oh my God, is it not 60 frames? Oh my God, is it not 60 frames? And we look at the disaster that this has been, and then now you're thinking, oh Jesus, like, are we going to meet the same fate with Starfield in the fall? Both of these games got delayed. Redfall was supposed to come out last year. Starfield was supposed to come out, I think it was January of this year? And that got pushed all the way to the fall. If Starfield fails and falls on its face, I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know what I would do. I'd be horribly disappointed. That would be soul crushing. To quickly just wrap up this video, don't buy Redfall. Don't download it. Don't play it. I don't care that this game is on Game Pass. That is not an excuse. That's it for today's video. Please like and subscribe below.